Welcome to Stanbo Gazillion, bringing you unforgettable tales of love, survival, and destiny. The popular girl in school. My roommate loved to toy with her impoverished, wheelchair-bound boyfriend, Danny. Once again, she told me to push Danny's wheelchair over, kicking him into the winter lake. Suddenly, a stream of on-screen comments floated before my eyes. The tempered heiress female lead in the dark. Secretly rich princeling male lead. This dynamic is my absolute favorite. The worse our female lead is to the male lead now, the more intense their future love scenes will be. It's just a shame about this pretty little cannon fodder. I wonder if the male lead will blame her for all the wrongs he suffered, pursuing the female lead and then have her die a gruesome death. She deserved it. Chasing money and doing bad deeds. She brought it on herself. This time, the male lead almost died in the lake, finally giving up his pretense of poverty and disability, which he used to prove the female lead would love him no matter what. He'll reclaim his identity and force her to love him. I paused my movement by the lake, then turned, jumped into the water, rescued Danny, and brought him back to my cheap rental apartment. I didn't want to be cannon fodder. I wanted to be the main character. Danny was unconscious for a long time. When he woke up, I was boiling water in a salvaged iron pot to give him fever reducers. A cockroach crawled past his foot, and his disabled leg twitched involuntarily, almost performing a medical miracle by jumping up. I pretended not to notice, holding the fever reducer to his lips, speaking hesitantly. "You have a bad fever. Take the medicine." Danny's face was unnaturally flushed, but that didn't stop him from swatting the fever reducer away with one hand. His lips moved as if to speak, but I beat him to it, apologizing. "I'm sorry for pushing you into the lake." My eyes were red, but a forced smile played on my face. "I know an apology can't make up for what I did to you, but please, at least let me take care of you until this cold is gone. Consider it my penance." My hand holding the cup of water trembled continuously. Danny's gaze imperceptibly swept across the damp, dimly lit basement, finally settling on my equally flushed face. "You have a fever too?" I widened my eyes slightly in surprise, shaking my head. "There's only one fever reducer left in the house. You take it. Don't pretend." Danny sneered. "Every time you help Chloe bully me, she gives you money after all these times. Must be a hefty sum. You can't even afford a single cold medicine." My body stiffened. The sole heir to the Thorne family, a titan in the business world. It would be effortless for him to know I was taking Chloe's money, to bully him. Seeing the mockery in his eyes, and remembering what the on-screen comments said that after this, Danny would become the high and mighty princeling, and it would be harder than hell for me to see him again. This was my last chance. I lowered my head, stammering, "That money. It needs to be spent on something more important." Danny impatiently looked away, about to stand up and leave. But the next second he slumped back, half conscious. Seeing that he was clearly aware, but couldn't wake up, I nodded in satisfaction, snapped a syringe, and tossed it out of the basement. Chloe's money did indeed have a more important use. Buying a drug that renders someone immobile. Watching me laboriously carry Danny to the hospital, crying in fear, yet still encouraging him to hang on. The on-screen comments exploded. "Is this cannon fodder crazy? She pushed the male lead down, then saved him, just missing his family coming to pick him up. If the male lead can't regain his identity, how will he force the female lead to love him? The cannon fodder has no money herself. What's the point of taking the male lead to the hospital? I'm genuinely worried she'll actually kill him by dragging him around." I certainly had no money, but I had blood. Carrying Danny's burning body, I practically knelt on the ground, begging the doctor to save him. My sleeves rolled high on my arms. "It's my blood donation time. Please take my blood. Whatever it takes. Please save him. I can't lose him again." The doctor looked troubled. "Miss Lynn, you've been chronically malnourished, and you donate blood every month to cover your mother's medical expenses. You finally paid enough for this month in advance. You don't need to donate blood again." "Why? For a stranger?" I interrupted him, speaking softly. "I owe him." The doctor sighed, but agreed to draw my blood. I endured the dizziness from the blood loss, gently cupped Danny's face and whispered, "You have to get well, Danny. As long as you get well, even if all my blood is drawn, it's fine." In the end, I couldn't resist the weakness from excessive blood loss, and slumped beside Danny's hospital bed, falling into a deep sleep. When I woke up again, it was already dark outside. I slowly opened my eyes and found a jacket draped over me. Danny was sitting on the bed on his phone, his unreadable gaze fixed on me. I instinctively reached out to touch his forehead, sighing in relief when I felt it was cool. Are you hungry? I'll go get you something to eat. I quickly stood up, but my body swayed for a few steps due to dizziness. A strong hand gripped my arm, studying me and refusing to let go. You almost killed me. Then you used your life to save me. What exactly do you want? I lowered my eyes, and before I could speak, the doctor knocked on the door. Your mother just woke up and is asking to see you. No sooner had he spoken than I, without waiting to answer Danny's question, tore my hand from his and rushed out. Sure enough, I saw my mother, thin as a skeleton, lying on the bed. Her eyes open, anxiously searching for me. My nose stung, and I knelt by her bed, gently comforting her. Mom, I'm here. Lily is here. Are you feeling better today? If you're uncomfortable, you must tell me. I'll find a way. Mom shriveled. Pale lips moved, squeezing out a few hoarse words. Lily, let me die. Mom won't get treatment anymore. You study well, you live well. My heart felt like it had been hit with a club. Pain-making tears instantly streamed down my face. I quickly wiped them away, not wanting Mom to see, and could only repeat, Mom. I have a way. You're the only family I have. If you live well, I can live. Lily, you're still young. So much money. What will you do? I gently wiped away the tears from Mom's eyes and smiled. Don't be afraid, Mom. I have a way. You always said I never lied. I would never lie to you. I don't know how long I comforted Mom. When she lost consciousness again, I watched her furrowed brow for a long time, before studying myself on the bed frame and stiffly standing up. Exiting the ward, Danny sat in his wheelchair, having waited outside for who knows how long. I looked at him in surprise, then touched his cold hand, immediately wrapping my scarf around him. I crouched in front of Danny, looking at him intently. Why did you come out dressed so lightly? What if you get sick from the cold? I'm sorry I let you starve for so long. I'll go buy food right away. The money Chloe gave you, do you spend it all on your mother's medical bills? Danny stared fixedly into my eyes, suddenly asking. My eyelashes fluttered and I nervously clasped my hands. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have helped Chloe bully you for money. But I was truly desperate. I couldn't just watch Mom die. Then why did you spend so much to save me? Danny gripped my chin, forcing me to look up. His brow furrowed deeply. He couldn't understand. Tears shimmered in my eyes. I used to have an older brother. The hand on my chin trembled slightly. I pretended not to notice and continued. Drowned in the river, trying to earn money for my tuition and Mom's medical bills. Tears fell one by one onto Danny's hand. I looked up at him in every nightmare since. I see my brother's eyes wide open in death. After being pulled from the river, he was still clutching a hairpin he wanted to give me. So, Danny, I can't let you die for me. I can't have another pair of eyes in my nightmares. I gently rested my cheek in Danny's palm. I truly regret what I did before. Danny, please give me a chance to make amends. Okay, I'll do anything. Please. He didn't speak. Only his thumb gently brushed my skin. I knew he meant yes. So I stood up and slowly pushed him back to the ward. The sky has fallen. The male lead just messaged his family, giving up on going back. How will I ever see my ship's fireworks now? Where's my favorite forced love story? What's this cannon fodder's deal? Trying to seduce the male lead and climb the social ladder? Is she that pathetic? The comment above is a bit harsh. The little cannon fodder doesn't even know the male lead's true identity. In her eyes, it's clearly two poor souls saving each other. Okay, the little cannon fodder is so tragic. With her sick mom and drowned brother. I actually feel a little sorry for her. I only ship the official couple. I'm going to report this to management to fix the plot. The on-screen comments were arguing fiercely, aside from the last sentence, which caught my attention. I treated the rest of the insults as background noise. After carefully feeding Danny millet porridge, I fetched a basin of water and started to pull down his pants. Even though you changed clothes, falling into the water and not showering must be uncomfortable. Let me help you wipe down. Danny raised an eyebrow. Are you sure you want to clean me? Don't worry. I often help Mom wash up. Even if your legs can't move, can handle it. Determined. I stripped off his clothes and outer pants, only to discover Danny had an incredibly well-built physique. Every muscle was perfectly sculpted. My face flushed and I awkwardly cleared my throat. I cleaned the cloth and carefully wiped him down, until a certain change became too prominent for me to ignore. I glanced at Danny in surprise. Stammering, "Is everything okay down there?" Danny, pretending to be engrossed in his phone, his forehead veins throbbing, reached out and gripped my shoulder, pulling me against his chest. He leaned down and bit my ear. "Wouldn't you like to find out if it's okay? Didn't you say you'd do anything to make amends? So is that included?" A thrill shot through me and my entire body turned crimson. Looking into Danny's beautiful eyes, I gritted my teeth and initiated a kiss on his lips. It was a wild night, especially since Danny often used his disabled legs to coax me into sitting on his lap. Danny stayed in the hospital for 5 days, putting me through the ringer. By day, he ordered me to massage his feet, feed him fruit, and attend to his needs. By night, he coaxed me into relieving his physical discomfort. It was then I saw Danny's childish side. He was afraid of needles, and after a blood draw, he'd demand 100 comforting kisses before he bled up. His guard around me completely dropped. He followed me everywhere, calling me Lily all day. Nothing like the dark princeling the on-screen comments described. It wasn't until Danny had mostly recovered that I processed his discharge papers and pushed him to school. At the school gate, I knelt down to remind him, "If you feel unwell, call me. I'll pick you up. I made ribs tonight. You're just getting better. Remember to come back and eat." He sensed something was off in my tone and asked in return, "What about you? No classes today?" I avoided his gaze, not daring to look at him, and followed his lead. No classes." No sooner had I spoken than a familiar female voice rang out. "Lily Lynn, you still dare to come back?" Chloe's sharp voice cut through the chilly morning air. I froze in place, my hand instinctively tightening on the rubber grips of Danny's wheelchair. Before me stood the wealthy heiress, flanked by her usual entourage of sycophants. Her designer heels clicked menacingly against the pavement as she closed the distance between us. Her eyes darted from my pale face to Danny, who sat quietly in his wheelchair. A cruel smirk played on her perfectly painted lips as she crossed her arms over her expensive tweed jacket. "I thought I paid you to make his life miserable, not to play nursemaid to a useless cripple." Chloe sneered, stepping so close I could smell her overpowering floral perfume. My heart hammered in my chest, but I forced myself to stand tall, shielding Danny from her piercing glare. "I told you I was done playing your games, Chloe." I kept my voice steady, though my palms were sweating profusely. "You don't get to quit until I say you're done, you pathetic little beggar." She lunged forward, raising her hand to deliver a stinging slap to my cheek. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for the impact, but the blow never came. A strong, warm hand clamped around Chloe's wrist in midair. I opened my eyes in shock to see Danny holding her arm, his grip like a vice. His previously gentle eyes were now dark, swirling with an intense, terrifying coldness that made the air around us feel heavy. "Let her go." His voice was low, barely more than a whisper, yet it commanded absolute authority. Chloe gasped, struggling to pull her arm back, her face flushing with a mix of anger and disbelief. "How dare you touch me, you disabled freak!" She screamed, finally wrenching her arm free and stumbling back a step. Suddenly, a massive wave of translucent text flooded my field of vision. The on-screen comments were scrolling at a frantic pace, practically glowing in front of my eyes. What is happening to the plot? Why is the male lead defending the cannon fodder instead of letting the female lead establish dominance? This is all wrong. The management needs to intervene right now and fix this glitch. My head throbbed violently as the words flashed, and a sudden, sharp pain pierced my temples. It felt as though an invisible force was trying to seize control of my vocal cords, urging me to push Danny out of the wheelchair and apologize to Chloe. I gritted my teeth, digging my fingernails into my palms until I felt the sharp sting of breaking skin. I refused to become a puppet to this bizarre, unseen management. "I am not your lackey anymore, Chloe, and I will not let you hurt him." I gasped out, fighting the agonizing pressure in my skull with every ounce of my willpower. Danny looked up at me, his intense gaze softening for a fraction of a second as he noticed my pale, strained face. Chloe burst into a harsh, mocking laughter that echoed across the quiet campus courtyard. "You think you're so noble, Lily? Do you honestly believe this poor, broken boy can protect you from me?" She snapped her fingers, and her followers took a threatening step forward. "I own this school, and I can have you expelled and your wretched mother thrown out of that hospital by noon." The mention of my mother sent a jolt of pure terror through my veins. The system's pressure in my head intensified, whispering that I was doomed, that the female lead's plot armor was invincible. I dropped to my knees beside Danny's wheelchair, tears welling up in my eyes, not from fear of Chloe, but from the crushing weight of my own helplessness. "Please, Chloe, leave my mother out of this," I begged, my voice cracking under the emotional strain. "I will return all the money you ever gave me. Just please do not touch her." Danny's hands suddenly cupped my face, lifting my tear-streaked cheeks to meet his gaze. His thumbs gently wiped away my tears, his expression unreadable, but deeply anchored in a quiet fury. "You don't need to beg her, Lily," he said softly, his voice a soothing balm against the roaring chaos of the system's comments in my mind. He slowly turned his head to look at Chloe, and the temperature in the courtyard seemed to drop 10 degrees. "You have made a very grave mistake," he stated, reaching into the pocket of his faded jacket and pulling out a sleek, black smartphone that looked entirely out of place in his impoverished disguise. Chloe scoffed, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "What are you going to do? Call the police on a prepaid burner phone?" Danny didn't answer her. He simply pressed a single button on the screen and brought the device to his ear. "It is time to end the charade." He spoke quietly into the phone, his tone crisp and commanding. "Bring the cars to the front gate." The on-screen comments exploded into a frenzy of red warning text. "System error. The male lead is revealing his identity prematurely. The timeline is collapsing. Someone stop the cannon fodder from altering the narrative." A blinding headache struck me, dropping me completely to the ground as the world spun dizzily around me. I could faintly hear Danny calling my name, his voice filled with sudden panic as he abandoned the phone. I felt his strong arms wrap around my trembling body, pulling me against his chest. "Hold on, Lily, just hold on," he whispered frantically, pressing his cheek against the top of my head. Through my blurring vision, I saw the sleek, imposing silhouettes of a dozen black SUVs tearing into the school's main driveway. They screeched to a halt, completely blocking the entrance and trapping Chloe and her cronies. Dozens of men in immaculately tailored black suits poured out of the vehicles, forming a flawless, impenetrable perimeter around us. A distinguished older man with silver hair stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Young Master Thorne, we are here as requested." The entire courtyard descended into a dead, suffocating silence. Chloe's jaw dropped, her eyes wide with unadulterated horror as she looked from the silver-haired man to the boy she had tormented for months. "Thorne?" she squeaked, her voice entirely stripped of its former arrogance. Danny ignored her entirely, his full attention focused on my shivering form. He effortlessly stood up from his wheelchair, his legs perfectly strong and stable, and scooped me up into his arms. The comments in my vision were glitching uncontrollably, fragmenting into garbled code as the system failed to comprehend the deviation. "Prepare the best medical suite at the private estate immediately." Danny barked at his men, his stride long and purposeful as he carried me toward the lead SUV. "And strip the Chloe family of every asset, contract, and holding they possess before the sun sets today." I heard Chloe's piercing scream of despair as she collapsed to the ground, but the sound faded as Danny placed me gently into the plush leather seat of the vehicle. The tinted windows rolled up, shutting out the glaring sunlight and the chaotic remnants of the original plot. I blinked slowly, fighting the exhaustion that dragged at my eyelids. "You lied to me," I mumbled weakly, staring at the flawless lines of his jaw as he sat beside me, gripping my hand tightly. "You can walk." A flicker of guilt crossed his dark eyes, and he brought my knuckles to his lips, kissing them tenderly. "I had to be certain, Lily," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "I had to know if anyone could ever care for the broken, destitute version of me." He leaned closer, his breath warm against my cheek. "But watching you trade your own blood to save me, watching you fight that girl to protect me, it tore my soul apart." I smiled faintly, the pain in my head slowly subsiding as the system's comments flickered and finally vanished into nothingness. "I guess we both had our secrets," I whispered, letting my eyes flutter shut as the gentle hum of the engine lulled me toward sleep. When I finally awoke, I was lying in a massive, silk-draped bed in a room that looked like it belonged in a royal palace. Sunlight streamed through towering French windows, casting a warm, golden glow over the mahogany furniture. I tried to sit up, but a gentle pressure on my waist stopped me. Danny was sitting in a chair drawn right up to the edge of the mattress, his head resting near my hip, fast asleep. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, indicating he hadn't slept for days. I carefully reached out, my fingers lightly brushing through his thick, dark hair. He stirred instantly, his eyes snapping open with a wild, panicked look that melted into profound relief the moment he saw me smiling at him. "You are awake." He breathed out, standing up and leaning over the bed to press his forehead against mine. "I thought I had lost you to whatever was causing those seizures." I wrapped my arms around his neck, pulling him closer to breathe in his clean, masculine scent. "I am fine, Danny," I promised, realizing with a start that my headache was completely gone and my vision was finally clear of any floating text. The system was truly dead. We had broken the plot. "Your mother has been moved to our family's premier research hospital," Danny said softly, pulling back just enough to look into my eyes. "The best specialists in the world are attending to her, and they have already reported a significant stabilization in her condition." Tears of pure gratitude spilled over my eyelashes, wetting the silk pillowcases beneath me. "Thank you," I choked out, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of what he had done for me. "You don't ever have to thank me, Lily." He wiped my tears away with his thumb, his gaze intense and unwavering. "You gave me your blood, your warmth, and your heart when you thought I had absolutely nothing to offer you in return." He leaned down, capturing my lips in a slow, deeply passionate kiss that sent a rush of electricity straight to my core. It wasn't a desperate kiss born of a cold, damp basement, but a promise of permanence, of wealth, and of unwavering protection. "From now on, you are the leading lady of my life," he whispered against my lips, a soft, genuine smile illuminating his handsome face. "No one will ever treat you as cannon fodder again." The months that followed were a whirlwind of recovery, luxury, and profound transformation. With the Thorne family's infinite resources, my mother's health improved drastically, her hollow cheeks filling out with healthy color. Chloe and her family had vanished from high society, utterly ruined by Danny's swift and merciless financial retribution. I returned to school, no longer the impoverished, desperate girl who ran errands for bullies, but the fiercely protected fiancé of the city's most powerful heir. Danny never used his wheelchair again, walking proudly by my side, his hand securely intertwined with mine. Every night, he held me close, kissing away the lingering nightmares of my past and replacing them with dreams of a bright, unbreakable future. We had rewritten our own destiny, tearing down the walls of a predetermined narrative with the raw, chaotic power of genuine love. Sometimes, in the quiet moments of the night, I would look up at the empty space before my eyes, half expecting to see a glowing comment floating in the dark. But there was only peace. Only the steady beating of Danny's heart beneath my cheek, a beautiful reminder that our story was finally ours to write. I knew that no matter what challenges the future held, we would face them together, authoring every chapter with courage, devotion, and an unyielding will to survive. Our love was no longer a secret hidden in the shadows of a winter lake. It was a blazing beacon, illuminating the rest of our lives with the promise of forever. The poor girl and the pretend cripple had disappeared, leaving behind a king and his fiercely loyal queen. And as the sun rose on a new day, casting its golden light over the sprawling Thorne estate, I knew my days of being a background character were over. I had stepped out of the margins and claimed the center stage of my own beautiful, unwritten life. The world was finally mine. And Danny was the crown I wore with pride. Our story had just begun. That was such a wild ride. I love how Lily took charge of her own destiny and refused to be just another disposable character in someone else's story. Danny dropping the wheelchair act to protect her was incredibly romantic, and seeing Chloe get exactly what she deserved was super satisfying. It really shows that genuine love and fierce determination can break any rules, even the ones written by a mysterious system. What did you guys think of that plot twist? Let me know.